Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and we're very close to training camp, and we're getting a lot more Jayden Daniels hype. And y'all know me, man. I don't just go and record a video every time somebody says something about Jayden Daniels. But once a lot of different compliments come from a lot of different people and a lot of different places and platforms, I feel like it's time to go ahead and just talk about all of them. So we already have some crazy quotes about Jayden Daniels already being the 12th best quarterback out of the entire NFL. Some people are saying that Jayden Daniels will be better than Caleb Williams immediately year one. You have full-blown concrete evidence that the Giants wanted to trade up for Jayden Daniels. Not only did they want to get him, but they were willing to trade up and give away draft picks to get him. Kevin Durant himself saying that Jayden Daniels is the KD of the NFL. We're going to dive into all of that and more, but before we do, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. Again, training camp is on the way. The rookies reported the 18th, the veterans report tomorrow, and I believe we start practice Wednesday the 24th. And I'm really excited because, again, any information that comes from these practices, if we get any clips, any breakdowns, any like this play and that play, y'all know I'm gonna break down every little thing, position group by position group, starting with the quarterbacks all the way down to even special teams, who are starting kick returners and punt returners, who's winning the kicking battle right now. Right now, we don't technically have a starting kicker, so I'm gonna keep y'all updated on everything going on, every single player, good, bad. I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all, and without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this video. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so let's start with the biggest compliment, and to what some people may say is probably the biggest, most ridiculous statement that we're going to discuss in this whole video. I'm pretty sure even a lot of Commanders fans are like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not jump the gun this early. So let's start with the fact that ESPN's Mike Clay, he did a ranking of his top quarterbacks for the 2024 NFL season. And we'll get to the fantasy football one as well, because this one's just purely who are the best quarterbacks. That's it. Then he also has a separate list of the best fantasy quarterbacks. We'll get there. But remember, this is the same person that ranks every position group in the NFL. And when it comes to quarterbacks, it's more of like an individual thing, not the quarterback room. Whereas linebackers, he ranks the linebackers by room. Like, for example, this is the same guy that said that the Commanders will have the best linebacker core out of the entire NFL, even better than the 49ers. So this is that same guy that does his rankings and statistical predictions for each position group. He did the same exact thing for the quarterback. So even on top of the rankings, he's providing you like a statistical projection of what everybody's going to do. Like literally completion percentage, touchdowns, interceptions, rushing yards, all of that type of stuff. And so let's dive into it and what he had for Jayden Daniels. So as you can see on the screen right now, here are his top quarterbacks in order, ranked from top to bottom. His quarterback projections, he has their positional rank, he has their FFPT, which is, I guess, his like point system that he does himself to pretty much come up with these rankings. Because as you can see, that number descends as we go down the list. So that's how he based his rankings. And then he has how many passes they'll attempt. I mean, these are very specific details when it comes to these predictions. He has the completions, of course, he has the passing yards, he has the passing touchdowns, interceptions, how many sacks they'll take, how many times they'll run with the ball, how many yards they'll get, and also how many rushing touchdowns they'll get because of it as well. So this is a very, very, very specific breakdown and projection from Mike Clay. And again, who we're here for the most, Jayden Daniels at 12. He has Jalen Hurts 1, Josh Allen 2, then Patrick Mahomes. I feel like it's blasphemous to not have Patrick Mahomes number 1 in any way, shape, or form, but cool. Then Lamar Jackson 4th, then Joe Burrow, then Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud, then Anthony Richardson. So he's assuming that Anthony Richardson, those flashes that we saw last year before he got hurt, is going to carry on over into this season. He's assuming Aaron Rodgers is going to gel really well with the Jets, and even all of this off the field concerns, things that he has, and not showing up to practice for random little, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers is a different type of guy. Even beyond all of that, he's predicting that Aaron Rodgers is still going to go out there and be a top 10 quarterback. Then Kyler Murray, then Brock Purdy, then Jayden Daniels. And I'm not going to lie, Deshaun Watson over Jordan Love seems a little crazy to me. But a lot of people would mostly point out that Jayden Daniels is the highest ranked rookie quarterback on this list, and by far, because you don't get to Caleb Williams till 17. And then all of the other rookie quarterbacks, they're even lower than that. And you have even a lot of the sophomore quarterbacks, like outside of CJ Stroud, you got Bryce Young, way lower than that. And just going back to our quarterback class with Jayden Daniels that were just recently drafted, you have Drake May 28th, you have JJ McCarthy 29th, you have Bo Nix 31st, and I'm guessing Michael Penix isn't ranked because Kirk Cousins should be starting for the Falcons. And I guess he's just not taking into account what injuries could potentially happen. So he has Kirk Cousins ranked 16th because of it. But just, again, to get back to our boy, he has Jayden Daniels ranked over Deshaun Watson, Jordan Love, who right now is holding out for a contract, is probably going to get a record number setting contract, market setting contract, like a never before seen level contract, something that is probably delaying the Dak Prescott contract because he's probably waiting to see what Jordan Love will get. And then he's going to be like, well, Jordan Love has only had one great season. And if even then, it was like kind of like a half of a great season. And so if he's getting this much, this is how much I want. So I hope Jordan Love gets paid ridiculous amounts of money so Dak Prescott can demand that from the Cowboys. But either way, the fact that Jayden Daniels is above Jordan Love that's probably the biggest compliment out of anybody on this list. Like him being above Caleb Williams, I can see the argument for that. Being above Kirk Cousins, I can see the argument for that. Justin Herbert's a little wild as well. Trevor Lawrence, a little wild. Baker Mayfield, a little wild. By Georgia Bulldog, Matthew Stafford. Tua Tagovailoa, that's a little crazy as well. But over guys like, Jared Goff, it's just not really talent. It's more so like the system, and he balls out in that system. But you have him above Geno Smith, Will Levis, Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, Bryce Young, and all of those other quarterbacks below that. I'm not mad about that. But the Jordan Love and the Justin Herbert, a little crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Even as a big Jayden Daniels fan, as a big Commanders fan, that's pretty crazy. But just to look at the stats as well, he has him ranked 12th again. He has him attempting 513 passes, so attempted more passes than Kyler Murray, than Deshaun Watson, than Jordan Love, than Justin Herbert. So he sees Jayden Daniels passing the ball quite a bit. Maybe not as much as Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott or CJ Stroud, but still quite a bit. And then he also has him completing 321 of those 513 passes for 3,462 passing yards in his rookie season. And then what's not great, I'm like, how do you have him ranked this high at 12 when you see him having 16 passing touchdowns and 14 interceptions? Whereas you have Deshaun Watson right behind him with a 21-11, Jordan Love behind that with a 26-13. Like 16-14 is not good. But I'm assuming that a lot of the other production is going to come from the fact that he sees him carrying the ball 106 times, which is only behind Anthony Richardson, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts. And then he also sees him running the ball off of those 106 carries for 584 yards and 5 touchdowns. So maybe it's because of the legs factor, but passing wise, 16 touchdowns to 14 interceptions is not good. I'm not sure how many games you win with that level of production. I'm not really sure, but again, he has him ranked 12, so he must really like him based off of these projections. And then moving on, Mike Clay also did his fantasy football PPR rankings per position group. And for Jayden Daniels, now he has him ranked 14th behind Justin Herbert and Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love also moved up to 10th. But outside of that, it's almost the same order generally for the quarterbacks as far as ahead of Jayden Daniels goes. It's literally just Jayden Daniels got basically put behind Justin Herbert and Jordan Love, but the list is almost the exact same, with Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts being the top two, just reverse order. Lamar Jackson's third rather than fourth, Patrick Mahomes is fourth rather than third, then you have Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud. Basically the same list almost, but I guess fantasy football wise, the calculations are a little bit different. Either way though, at worst, fantasy football wise, non-fantasy football wise, he has Jayden Daniels at the very least being a top 14 quarterback in the NFL. And again, outside of fantasy football, he has him as the 12th best quarterback out of the entire NFL as a rookie. This is not a projection of careers. This is a 2024 prediction just this season alone, which is amazing. And then staying with the fantasy football side of this, Pro Football Focus Fantasy has Jayden Daniels ranked 11th. out of all of the quarterbacks in the NFL, but again, fantasy football wise. They said at QB 11, where he's being drafted, he has the tools and the ability to greatly outperform that ADP. So even though they're seeing him being drafted in that 11 range, they also feel like that he could probably end up outperforming that as well. So Pro Football Focus has him even higher than 11 when it comes to their fantasy football production. Well, at least specifically John Macri of Pro Football Focus. Now, moving on, you also have people out there predicting that Jayden Daniels will be better than Caleb Williams. Now, Mike Clay did that through his list. He didn't just go out and say it specifically. Jayden Daniels will be better than Caleb Williams in 2024. He just showed it in his rankings that, again, Jayden Daniels was 12th and Caleb Williams was 17th. But you also have people on ESPN straight up just going on the internet, on television, saying that Jayden Daniels will be better than Caleb Williams. I mean, you even had ESPN with a topic earlier today, July 22nd at 8:30 a.m. They had a topic about, did the Bears select the wrong quarterback? And this was on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN. And basically the argument was, yes, they should have chosen Jayden Daniels over Caleb Williams. So there, that's a whole 1.5-second clip. You want to check that out. But, you know, I don't want to steal content. Don't want to get my YouTube channel taken down. I don't want a flashbang coming through my window. So I would love to show y'all that clip. I could edit it in there. But, you know, YouTube guidelines prevents me from doing so. And then you also have Booger on Get Up saying that Jayden Daniels is going to be the better quarterback immediately as well. Booger McFarland was on the ESPN show Get Up, and he said exactly, quote, and there's a whole like 42-second clip of that as well going around on Twitter, but his exact quote was, quote, "Don't be surprised if midway through the season we're having a conversation that the number 2 pick Jayden Daniels looks better than the number 1 pick Caleb Williams," unquote. And now with this projection from Booger McFarland, he's not only saying that Jayden Daniels will just be the better quarterback, like individually compared to Caleb Williams, but he's also saying that Jayden Daniels has a better situation around him, which is also a very interesting argument as well, because Caleb Williams is going to have Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen as like a third option, which is insane. And I would easily say that the Bears have a better wide receiver group than we have, even though I am very excited about Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Luke McCaffrey, and some of these other guys that seem like they're going to try to contribute at the back end of the receiving depth. You just can't really beat Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen. There's an easy argument to be made that that's the best wide receiver core in the NFL. And what does a quarterback need the most to succeed? I mean, of course, offensive line is up there. Offensive coordinating is up there as well. And of course, you need elite receivers. And he arguably has the best receiving group, at least top 3 receiving trio in the entire NFL. So then that makes you think, okay, well, if Caleb Williams has the better receiver core, but Jayden Daniels has the better overall supporting cast, what is this immense difference? I mean, I'm not very confident on this left side of the defensive line yet. And I mean, I don't exactly know the shape of the Bears O-line, but I'm not necessarily in love and very confident in what the Commanders have at O-line right now. So I'm assuming it can't be the O-line. It must just purely be offensive coordinating. I mean, that has to be the majority of it, right? Maybe the run game, the running backs, maybe they just like Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler way more than what the Bears have going on. But I'm assuming most of it has to be, if you're saying Jayden Daniels is the better supporting cast, it has to be offensive coordinator. And I love Shane Waldron. Coming from the Seattle Seahawks, I wanted him as our offensive coordinator before all of the hiring stuff went around, and we ended up with Dan Quinn, which I'm really excited about now. Then we ended up with Cliff Kingsbury as our offensive coordinator. But I was personally very high on Shane Waldron before he even took that job with the Bears, and I thought, congratulations, Bears, for getting Shane Waldron to take care of a rookie quarterback like Caleb Williams. The way that he revived Geno Smith's career, I know Sam Howell was sick to see him leave. Like, I get to go to the Seahawks, and then Shane Waldron leaves the Seahawks. Now he's kind of like, you know, stuck in like an ugly middle again. But hey, congratulations to the Bears for getting Shane Waldron. I'm very high on him. So is Booger McFarland saying that if you believe the Commander supporting cast is better than the Bears, does he believe that Cliff Kingsbury is just that much better than Shane Waldron? I think that's a very interesting argument. But again, on top of all of that, they also said that they believe that Jayden Daniels will just be the better quarterback, just period. And then on top of that, you have Kimberly A. Martin also saying that Jayden Daniels is better positioned to succeed than Bears rookie Caleb Williams. I mean, when we're talking about supporting cast, do we throw in defense as well? Do they believe our defense is just going to be that elite compared to the Bears defense, who still has Tremaine Edmonds and a lot of great players? Do they feel like our defense is going to be that much better? When we're talking about supporting cast, I'm really trying to dive into what they're saying as far as Jayden Daniels being in a way better situation than what Caleb Williams is with the Bears. Again, the Bears got it with receiving core, so it must be coming from somewhere else. I'm assuming it must be defense, maybe offensive coordinator, maybe run game, whatever. I highly doubt they're talking about offensive line. So again, these are several people from several different shows saying that Jayden Daniels is not only going to be the better quarterback than Caleb Williams, at least in 2024, but also the situation around him is better. And I just think that's really interesting. That's a very interesting debate topic. Let me know how you feel in the comment section about that. Now, moving on, you also have Kevin Durant, who may be a little biased because he is a big-time burgundy and gold fan, but he loves himself some Jayden Daniels as well. So much so that he went on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams and literally said that, quote, Jayden Daniels is like the KD of college football, unquote. And basically said that, you know, compared him to being like relatively skinny, but still being explosive and impossible to guard and things like that. You know, all of those different type of parallels. So he meant like he's going to be a great player because I'm a great NBA player. He's going to be a great NFL player. But he was more so diving into the fact that he's like a really skinny guy and yet still explosive and unstoppable. But either way, that's still very high praise, Kevin Durant. And it's like a whole long segment. But the clip is like only 1 minute and 28 seconds of him comparing Jayden Daniels to himself. But like he was on the Kay Adams show for a minute talking about like the burgundy and gold in general, of course hyping up Jayden Daniels. But that's some very high praise, man. That's some very high praise for the starting quarterback of his team. He even talked about how like when he was watching them in college at LSU and things like that, before the Commanders even drafted him, he basically said that, hey, I would love for the Commanders to end up getting him in the draft. So I know Kevin Durant was very happy to get him. And then you also have a situation moving on where Hard Knocks revealed that the Giants wanted to trade up for Jayden Daniels. Not only did they want him, but they were willing to trade up for him. I mean, head coach Brian DeBall literally just straight up said that he would trade up for Jayden Daniels himself. They asked him, would you trade up for Jayden Daniels? He said, yes, easily, no hesitation, full confidence. And I'm not gonna lie, the amount of access that we've gotten this Hard Knocks this season has been crazy. Like typically we see training camp, preseason games, behind the scenes and things like that, like practices. But this time we got to see a team's like entire draft process, like from the combine interviews to the draft war rooms, behind the scenes leading up to the draft, during the draft and things like that. Like all kinds of interesting behind the scenes things that we've like never really gotten before. And speaking of combine interviews, this takes me to the point that, remember that random football analyst guy that was talking about how terrible Jayden Daniels' combine interview went with the Giants based off of the clip that we saw from the Hard Knocks where they asked him to run a play back and all of this type of stuff, and then they were like, it's cover 2, what do you do here? He said throw a touchdown. And you know, a lot of people hated it. I loved it. But you also had that one guy, I don't even remember his name. You know, I'm not even about to go and do research to remember his name because it's not even worth acknowledging. But he basically was saying that Jayden Daniels looked terrible. He was questioning how did he even get drafted this high. He said it even shows on the tape how like not ready he is, how unprepared he is for the NFL and can't read defense and stuff like that. Now look at him. Now look at the situation. I already knew at least that it was a fine interview. I loved his answers. But then later on down the line, the fact that the Giants head coach is coming out a clip of him saying that he literally wanted Jayden Daniels and was willing to trade up for him basically solidified that it was a great interview. And that random analyst that was saying that the interview was terrible was just completely overthinking the situation. And remember, Ben Kurt, along with a lot of other people like the Quincy Avery guy that trains quarterbacks, a lot of like professional quarterbacks that played at the NFL level are also training quarterbacks, you know, guys that really know the quarterback position, called them out and said you're wrong about the situation. And now again, the fact that Brian DeBall, the clip is coming out of him saying that he wanted to trade up for Jayden Daniels after that combine interview lets you know that, hey man, that interview went just fine. And shouts out to my boys at Rico's Reg for tweeting, someone check on and it showed up on tape guy. I mean, people were on his head after this Hard Knocks clip came out that Brian DeBall wanted to trade up for Jayden Daniels. You even have my boy at pseudo RG3, the not Robert Griffin account. He did the little mock thing where the characters are uppercase and lowercase randomly. He was like, awful pro day, awful interviews, exceedingly old, and it showed up on tape. How did this guy get drafted so high? They were on that guy's head for that situation. And also, before we move on, I just want to remind y'all that Jayden Daniels, maybe Mike Clay again, he sees him throwing 16 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, but still somehow has him ranked as like his 12th best quarterback in the NFL. It's probably because the legs that Jayden Daniels brings with him to the next level. Because you got to remember, and we talked about this months ago, that somebody pointed out the fact that Jayden Daniels reached a top speed of 21.8 miles per hour in 2023 in a game at LSU. I believe it was against Florida. Whereas Tyreek Hill reached a top speed of 22 miles per hour in the same season, but of course at the NFL level, not in college, for the Miami Dolphins last year. And I believe he reached that against maybe that was the Giants, I think it was, where he reached that 22 miles per hour. But basically, Jayden Daniels has similar speed, very close, 21.8 miles per hour to Tyreek Hill's 22, who was arguably the fastest player out of the entire NFL. So maybe that's where those predictions are coming from, those projections, to where I mean, I think Jayden Daniels throwing 16 touchdowns, 14 interceptions is not a good thing at all. I think that's actually quite bad. And for him to project that and still have him ranked 12th is amazing. And again, I'm just providing you that information again of that how fast he is, because that has to be a big reason as to why he still feels like Mike Clay, as in feels like Jayden Daniels is the 12th best quarterback in the NFL. Even 16 to 14 is crazy. I know I keep bringing it up, but that does not sound good at all to me. And then also, just a reminder, I know I keep saying it, I've said it in several videos, already said it in this video. Ricky's reported the training camp back on July 18th. The veterans report tomorrow, July 23rd, and I believe we start practicing July 24th. And shouts out to my boy at Disco, because I saw this on Twitter and I felt like I needed to share this. But he said, whoever's in charge at the stadium on game day, let me say this, Jayden Daniels is number 5. If anyone shows up with the number 5 Donovan McNabb jersey, please leave them to me. I will deal with them myself. And I'm right with you, man. I prefer the off-brand number 5 jersey you make at home than to see Donovan McNabb jerseys trying to represent Jayden Daniels. I'm right with him, man. Make sure y'all nip that in the bud. Please, no Donovan McNabb jerseys. At least if you go to do the Donovan McNabb jersey, at least, at the very least, rip out the name or something. You got to do something with it, man. And I'm not gonna lie, Heath Schuler may be even worse. I prefer Donovan McNabb than a Heath Schuler jersey number 5. We've had some pretty interesting number 5 star history. Now, Tressway, cool. Tressway, perfectly fine. Pull up with the Tressway. If anything, to honor him, especially the first game of the season, I rock with the Tressway stuff. Well, technically, it would be the second game of the season when we actually play in Maryland versus the Giants. That will be like our season opener for a home game. We got to play the Buccaneers week 1 in Tampa Bay. The first time that we play a game in Maryland will be against the Giants. So that game, make sure you don't pull up with Heath Schuler or Donovan McNabb jerseys. Tressway, cool, but those two, please no. Please no, I beg y'all. I beg y'all. Don't start the Jayden Daniels career off like that, man. Don't even curse that guy like that. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned, because again, everything training camp, everything burgundy and gold, I got y'all covered. I will keep y'all updated on every little thing going on with the burgundy and gold, but especially training camp. Y'all know I do my breakdowns of every position group. We even dive into like the post-game comments, pre-game comments, pre-practice and post-practice comments and quotes like from the coaches and the players and things like that. We dive into every little thing. And of course, from the practice, I show y'all all of the clips that I have access to, and also break down everything that we heard, saw, people, you know, what they said that went to the practice. And we go quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, DBs, even special teams, because again, we have a lot of interesting special team stuff going on top of all of the other training camp battles that we have going on right now. Again, we do not know who our starting punt returners, kick returners, or even kicker himself is right now. So we have a lot of interesting things to keep y'all updated on. Make sure you stay tuned for all of that. And of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about all of this Jayden Daniels love. Do you feel like 12th is way too high? Do you feel like 16 touchdowns to 14 interceptions is bad and is somehow amazing that he hasn't ranked 12th even though he sees him with a 16 to 14 ratio, touchdown to interception ratio, which is, I mean, that's pretty crazy to me. Let me know how you feel about everybody saying, well, not everybody, but a lot of people saying that Jayden Daniels will be better than Caleb Williams even as soon as 2024, their rookie seasons. Let me know how you feel about people saying that Jayden Daniels has the better supporting cast than the Bears. That's interesting. That's a very interesting take right there. Let me know how you feel about KD saying that he's the NFL version of himself, all of that type of stuff. So let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Do not leave this video without leaving a like. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.